What's going on, Saints fans? I need you to get down into the comment section if you are pumped up for the Saints preseason. We are just a few days away, and I can almost smell Spencer Rattler throwing up dimes to Mason Tipton and A.T. Perry to put up 6 points. So if you're excited and you're with me, type "who dat" down in the comment section. We got some news to discuss from day 8 of Saints training camp. Welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Trace Girouard. Really quick, want to give a special shout out and give a lot of credit to guys like Ross Jackson, Mike Triplett, John Hendricks, Nick Underhill, Catherine Terrell, and all the other amazing Saints media personalities and people that are at training camp with boots on the ground. Without them, we wouldn't really be able to give you guys a lot of updates, so I encourage you to go check out their coverage for more in-depth stuff. But for these videos, I like to just kind of take everything I saw, sum it all up, and give my take and kind of share what's important, what do the Saints fans need to know. So shout out to all of them. Appreciate them for all their amazing coverage. And without further ado, let's talk about the roster moves that have happened here in the last 24 hours. So tight end Tommy Hudson, he's been dealing with some injuries and stuff. He was waived, which is different than Nathan Peterman, who was cut. Now, Peterman, he's been around the league for a handful of years, and if you've been in the league for 4 or more years, you get cut, versus Tommy Hudson, who's going to go through the waiver wire. So Nathan Peterman, he's gone. Tommy Hudson, he's gone. But you brought in 2 more wide receivers. And Marquez Callaway, who's a familiar face. We put a short out about that last night. And if you were subscribed to the channel, you would have known that that already happened. But then they also signed Samson Nacua, the brother of Rams standout wide receiver Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua. I had a tongue twister right there. But these 2 players were signed because the Saints wide receivers are already dealing with some injuries, and we'll go through those injuries right now. You see guys like Cedric Wilson, Bub Means, and Equanimous St. Brown. Those 3 wide receivers were not present once again at practice. Demario Davis, in day 7, he actually suffered a slight injury, so he wasn't present at practice today as well. And nor was Jalen Ford, the rookie linebacker out of Texas. Offensive lineman Nick Saldiveri, who's right now slated to be the starting left guard, was not present at practice. And then defensive end Trajan Jeffcoat, who's been dealing with an elbow issue, was not there either. But off to the side, we actually got some positive news. Marshawn Lattimore was once again on the side doing some stuff, not really participating, but he was present at practice, so that part is pretty not good news. Kendre Miller, he was off to the side. He's dealing with some injuries. Again with him, just got to stay healthy. That seems to be his biggest kryptonite, is his health. Juwan Johnson, positive news around him. We're going to dive into that in a second. Tano Passanio, he did return to practice, and he was off to the side. He suffered an injury a handful of weeks ago. Dennis Allen spoke about it. It was kind of a weird little thing, but he is back out at the field. And Shane Lemieux, the offensive lineman, he was off to the side as well. Now, let's dive into tight end Juwan Johnson and an injury update around him. He was actually seen getting in some reps and getting in some work after practice after day 7 and day 8 of training camp. Saints were off on Thursday. That's why it's day 7 and day 8. But I do think that is really good news, because when it comes to a player like Juwan Johnson, the Saints offense is going to benefit from having him around. Now, if you like him, if you don't like him, I can understand your opinions. That being said, the Saints offense is going to be better when Juwan Johnson is around. Sure, I love Dylan Holker. I'm excited to see what the young UDFA can do. But I will also add this. Juwan Johnson does have some nice skills. He has some really talented attributes. And on top of that, he does make plays. He has a history of making plays when he's on the field. So I'm really excited to see Juwan Johnson starting to ramp up his work, and hopefully he can be a full participant here very soon. Now, Brian Brzee, he did return to practice. He didn't participate in any team drills or anything, but he did have a very limited participation at practice. So it's good to see the second-year defensive tackle back. He was really, really good for the Saints last year. And on top of that, I do believe that he is a player who could have a massive sophomore campaign. So I want to see Bayou Brzee get back out on the field, and I want to see the New Orleans Saints defense dominate in the trenches. Now, really quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so that way you can stay updated on all things New Orleans Saints, whether it's injuries, whether it's signings, roster updates, or any just general news and notes from training camp. We got you covered. So be sure to hit the noti bell, turn on your notifications, and hit that big red sub button. That way you can be a smarter Saints fan, and that way we can be one of the biggest Saints channels on YouTube. So let's talk about the quarterbacks because, it's the most important position in all of sports. Derek Carr, when it comes to him, there were ups and downs at practices, reports from guys like Jeff Nowak and John Hendricks. It's just been a lot of ups and downs, especially in these early days of practice. And a lot of the production in terms of up and down is dependent on how the offensive line is looking. If the protection is good, Derek Carr has the ability to make the play, and he actually looks solid. But when the protection's bad, it's the opposite. It's not going to be all that great. But he does actually look decent when it comes to running play action, which is really nice. And I do think Clint Kubiak's going to use a lot of pre-snap movement and a lot of play action packages. So I'm hopeful to see that turn into a lot of production and better offensive play. And my take on Derek Carr at camp, I just would like to see better reports around him. It's not that I think that he's looking bad. He's actually looked like solid at times, but I want to see consistent positive reports around DC4. But in terms of Spencer Rattler, he actually did get run with the second team. He was the QB2 today at practice, and he had the play of the day connecting with tight end Dallin Holker, where Holker made a leaping catch, beautiful touchdown. I mean, it's one of those things that a lot of the guys out at practice were very, very excited about. A lot of posts about it. So if you want to go see a little bit more, hit me up on Twitter. I've been tweeting and retweeting a lot of people's posts from training camp. But at the end of the day, I'm really excited to see Spencer Rattler starting to continue to grow and starting to separate himself as a quality option as a QB2 and, separating a little bit from Jake Haener. Not saying that Jake Haener is the QB3 and Spencer Rattler's the QB2, but in this moment in time, after day 8 of training camp, Spencer Rattler looked really good again, and he's, continuing to show his growth and development. But let's talk about Dallin Holker really fast before we get to Jake Haener. He's also shown some really good things as a pass catcher, but in terms of making his impact a regular one on game day, he needs to show improvement, and he needs to show growth as a blocker. Because the tight end position isn't just another pass catcher. It's not just a glorified, big-bodied guy that can catch any ball that you throw at him. It's also somebody who has to block. It's also somebody who has to create time for the quarterback. It has to be a smart player. And if Dallin Holker can stay ahead of the curve as a pass catcher and can continue to grow as a blocker, I mean, guys, I think this kid could be the steal of the century as an undrafted free agent. It still shocks me how he went undrafted out of Colorado State. Let's talk about Jake Haener, though. We got some reports, a few things about him really quick. He did work with the third team today at day 8, and he actually looked pretty good. Per reports around Jake Haener, was this might have been the best practice he's had this entire training camp. And in red zone, he got 3 touchdowns. That's really, really good stuff. And the Saints today, they were emphasizing red zone a lot, which I think is very, very important considering in 2023, they were scoring touchdowns on just 53.33% of red zone trips. That ranked 18th across the National Football League, so the Saints have to be better inside the 20. It's nice to see that the Saints offense and that the training camp is focused on improving the red zone, because that's exactly what Clint Kubiak said is a big key to his offense. So it's nice to see that they're not just talking the talk, but they're also starting to walk the walk there. But a little bit more on Jake Haener. This is, something that kind of hits a little bit home to me personally. There's some things going on outside of the offices right now amongst my family that I'm not going to get too into. But, when I saw this report, all I could sit here and say was I just had, I want to send love. I want to send positivity. I want to send nothing but good vibes to Jake Haener. Cancer is terrible. This is a family-friendly show, but fuck cancer. Everyone knows somebody who's been affected by it, or they have been affected by it personally. So I have nothing but high hopes and nothing but support for Jake Haener throughout this. It is pretty cool that he's expected to be at practice on Wednesday, so we'll see what happens with his procedure on his skin cancer on Monday. But again, I just want to send some love to Jake Haener and help me out. Help me send some good vibes to Haener's way. Type his jersey number 3 down in the comment section. If Jake Haener finds this video, I want him to see that Saints fans have his back. That no matter what, you could be QB 1, 2, or 3. When you're repping the Fleur-de-Lis and you're wearing black and gold, you're a part of a family here in the Who Dat Nation. So help support some family in this situation and type his jersey number down below. Now, really quick, got to say special thank you and give a special shout out to today's presenting sponsor, which is Game Time. And if you're a lot like me and you enjoy going to concerts, comedy shows, and all sorts of other live events, then you need to check out the Game Time app. It is the app for you. And if you download the Game Time app and you use promo code CHATSPORTS, you can actually get $20 off your first purchase. So if you're looking to go to a preseason game or any of these games at the Superdome or any Saints game that's on the road, you don't even have to live in New Orleans. You can buy tickets for anywhere across the country for MLB, college sports, NFL. It don't matter. They got you covered. My girlfriend and I recently, we got to go see one of our favorite bands in the Red Clay Strays, and I bought my tickets through the Game Time app. Because I used code CHATSPORTS, I was able to save $20, which, hey, call me cheap, but I took that $20 and put it right to a round of drinks for the both of us. So basically, I got my first round for free because of Game Time. So one more time, terms do apply. Create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. That's code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase when you download the Game Time app today. Thank you, Game Time, for sponsoring today's video. All that information is in the comment section and description of the video. Download Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, let's talk about defense here, and let's talk about Alontae Taylor, because I think that his development is one of the bigger storylines that, as Saints fans, we should all be discussing. We should all be talking about, good or bad. Like, I think that Alontae Taylor deserves to get more attention right now. And Dennis Allen, I think, had some really, really good things to say. And shout out to John Hendricks for putting this out there on social media. Dennis Allen said the best thing he has seen from Alontae Taylor is, quote, a want to and a willingness to do the job we're wanting him to do. And if you guys remember, there was chatter about, hey, what if we just maybe move Alontae Taylor back to safety? What if we try and drop him back into some coverage and not have him be outside, not have him be the slot guy? And he was very adamant on, no, not doing that. He took to social media. He said he wasn't going to do that. He wants to be a corner. And I do want to say I love seeing Alontae Taylor embracing the slot role, the nickel role, whatever you want to call it, because I do believe that he can be a great player. And he even had a quote in his post-practice press conference, if you will, saying, I know that I'm really good on the outside, and I know that I can be great as a nickel. And he's starting to feel the confidence. He's starting to feel the development. He's thinking that he's starting to get it, which I think is extremely important. And, I mean, this flight crew right here, goodness gracious, I'm sitting here, if I'm Kirk Cousins, if I'm Baker Mayfield, if I'm Bryce Young, I'm shaking in my boots. I mean, I know that I have to go up against Marshawn Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Alontae Taylor, Kool-Aid McKinstry, not to mention Jordan Howden and Tyrann Mathieu, not to mention the possibility of other players getting into the mix. I mean, when you have these four guys at any point in time in any sort of rotation, you're going to have a good defense. And your defensive back group is going to be pretty solid. And we haven't even talked about the safeties, but I truly do believe that the New Orleans Saints have the number one, no questions asked, the number one defensive back group in the NFL. They have depth at the starters. They have talent at the starters. They have quality depth. And on top of that, every single one of those players could be a starter on another roster. And the fact that the Saints have multiple players that they can have in a rotation to be effective on their defense just makes the life so much easier for Dennis Allen. It also makes life a little bit easier if the pass rush can't get home, knowing, hey, we at least have some good coverage back deep. But this is on the pass rush to get home, get pressure, create sacks, and on top of that, make quarterbacks' life a living hell. The DB group is solid. It is the best, not one of. It is the best in the league. Now it's just up to the defensive line to live up to that bill as well. Now I want you to get in the comment section. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Rank the Saints defensive backs across the league. I'm talking corners, and I'm talking safeties. 1 through 32. Where do they rank? I want you to get in the comment section. I want you to let me know your thoughts. And as always, y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.